Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Strider 2, brought to us by US Gold. Strider 2 is a European exclusive sequel to the original Capcom arcade title of Strider. US Gold, with licensing rights from Capcom, made Strider 2 for various home computer consoles, including the Sega Master System version, which is the one I'm playing today. Later on down the road, though, Capcom would go on in 1999 to create its own sequel to Strider, known as also Strider 2. So here we go with Strider 2 on the Master System. Thankfully, a lot better as far as the gameplay is concerned from the original Strider on Master System, but still not a very well-playing game, that is for sure. The controls take a bit to get used to. Jumping is definitely floaty, and a lot of times you can actually use this to your advantage to kind of get past certain enemies and maneuver around. Down here and to the left, we face our first kind of like mini-boss of the game. We're going to jump and attach ourselves to the lower part of this platform and then come back down when opportunity arises in order to attack missile-spewing contraption. Once it's defeated, though, immediately jump up and reattach yourself to the platform so that the fire that comes out right afterwards doesn't end up killing you. At the top of the screen, you'll notice the timer, which thankfully isn't as strict as Strider 1. You have your total lives count in the center, and then your health on the far left side. After getting past that mini-boss, we work our way around the bottom here. From time to time, you will find yourself little containers that will contain particular power-ups and the like. One power-up in particular you're able to collect will actually give you a shield when you make it to the boss of a particular level, though I don't necessarily go out of my way too much in order to grab all of these. The next boss is a bit trickier. We're going to get up close and attack a couple of times and try to do our best to dodge its attacks, but it's pretty difficult. This is going to first put your skills to the test as far as this game is concerned. Once it is defeated, we're going to continue along the path and work our way up here, watching out for the fire-spewing little turret guys here. Be sure to grab this health replenishment from this container located here. Jump to the wall and then start climbing up. The machine will kind of come down at you, but you can attack while moving up in order to hit it. Drop down here, but be sure to hug the right wall just enough that you'll be able to make it here for the first full boss of the game. This giant ship will kind of move back and forth. It will fire out missiles, but sometimes be difficult to actually hit. And your goal is, of course, to move towards it and attack it. Basically, the way the attacks work are, if you're moving, you'll use the sword, which hits bigger distances and I think does more damage overall. If you're standing still, you'll use the shurikens, and they don't do quite as much, but of course they throw out from the character, so they'll be able to hit a larger distance away. Either way, it's not very intuitive and takes a bit to get used to, that is for sure. Once the boss is defeated, though, we move on to the second level of the game. Start off by moving over here. You can use your slide sometimes to kind of bypass some enemy attacks. Pick up the power-up located here and then work your way up to the next floor. Once up here, there's some electricity type things and a few enemies, but for the most part we're going to get right past them and make it up to this rope here. From here, head on over to the left or right side, but the left side is a little bit easier. Climb up the wall here and get up to the top part of this area. Take out the turret, be sure to hit this switch, and then jump to this rope. When you do so, or whatever it's supposed to be, you'll slide on down it, making it into this opening here into the next part of the level. You can use your shurikens while ducking here in order to hit this turret that's firing at you. Watch out for the lightning, and then hit the next switch. When you hit the switch, you'll then have to backtrack. Once again, you can use your slide to kind of get past some of the electricity, or whatever you want to do to kind of get past, and then drop on down here, take out another one of these turrets, and then time it so that you can get past more of the electricity. When you're down here, here's another thing. Pick this up so you can get some of your health back. You probably lost a little bit throughout the course of the level. And then do a couple of nicely timed slides. If you do it right, you should be able to kind of get through and be able to avoid most of the electricity. Thankfully, there's more health replenishment right afterwards, so if you do end up getting hit, you won't be in too much danger because of that extra health right afterwards. On the very bottom, there's more electricity to dodge. You can do a nice slide or whatever you want to do. It's not easy to get past without taking at least one hit, but thankfully the game knows this because it gives you more health right after that again. Climb up this wall, take out the machine, and then once you make it to the opening, just keep on climbing. Don't go through the opening. Instead, climb all the way up and get this power up. This is another one of those shield ones. This is the only level where I'm going to show where multiple of those shield icons are located, though they are in every one of the levels from my knowledge and help out in the final bosses of each stage. Here is another mini-boss, though. This is a tank that we're going to move in close and keep trying to hit, standing still when needed in order to kind of keep hitting it with shurikens from a distance, but it's pretty much just run in and hit it as fast as possible when it comes to that battle. Right after that, you'll have more electricity fields for us to slide through and run on through, making it right to another one of these tank battles. Duck down in front of it to hit it a couple times with the shurikens, and then kind of back away when it gets close to try to do your best to avoid as much of the projectile fire from the cannon as possible, though it's hard to avoid everything. Right after that, you'll have more electricity to kind of watch out for, but then it's the boss fight. As you can see here, because I've gotten 3 of those power-ups, I have a little bit of a shield that will keep moving around me, take out enemy projectiles, and do damage to the giant plane-like enemy that is the boss of level number 2. Eventually, the shield, though, does end up wearing off and disappearing, so it doesn't last forever, which is one of the reasons I don't end up hunting down a lot of it, but it does help. Either way, just keep attacking it, doing your best to watch out for any projectiles it has, though this is where you'll start to notice just how clunky everything in this game is. Right after that boss, though, we move it on to level number 3, which is known as the Alien Labyrinth. Start off by moving across the top portion. Usually I like to jump a bit, that way it speeds things up a little what. But then we're going to slide underneath a couple of these little spike things, and when you make it over here, drop on down and head to the left side. You can grab onto the chain and slide down if you want to, or just fall down. Thankfully, there is no fall damage. Climb down the walls if you want to, though this is usually by accident more so than actual what I'm trying to do, just because it's very easy to grab a hold of the walls by accident when you're trying to like fall or do any kind of jumping or whatever. Climb on here and do a nice time slide. Just make sure you're a little bit ways away so that you don't end up sliding right into the second one of these little spike pressure type things. Slide past the next ones and down here past a whole series of chains, and eventually you'll be at the bottom floor area. Once here, attach yourself to the platform and just kind of shimmy your way all the way across the acid and whatever it's kind of bubbling up from below. Just keep on moving, keep on attacking to hit like the missiles that may try to hit you during this. Eventually you'll make it to the opposite side. Once over here, do a big giant leap to the far right wall. There's a couple of robots coming down on you like we've seen typical of the walls that we've dealt with, and then start climbing up here. Once up here, watch out for this thing and take it out from below with these nice little kind of jump attacks. This way you can avoid getting hit and easily defeat it, and then climb on up and open up this, which will be another heart replenishment in case you need it. For some reason you don't need that, you can just kind of climb up and continue on to the right. Grab onto the chain here, move your way down a little bit, then do a big nice leap over to the right side, avoiding a couple of enemies and being able to get through this area here. Once over to the far right, you'll have the giant dinosaur mecha thing as the boss of this level. Try to hit it your best you can with the sword swipes more so than the shurikens. It does a lot of damage, but if you have full health going into the fight, you shouldn't have any problem being able to deliver enough hits to defeat it before it ends up defeating you. Unfortunately, because of just how clunky it is, it's not a whole lot of strategies that are able to be put really into play when it comes to it. Next up is level 4, the Rooftops. Start immediately by jumping to this and slide on down. Be sure to safely land on the next platform, because sometimes it's hard to see where you're going to be landing once you get past that sliding segment. Head on over to the far right and you'll wait for this little elevator to kind of come on down, and once it does, ride that up to the next platform above. Once you do so, head on over to the left, grab a hold of this chain and jump up here, and then just keep kind of working your way up through a series of chains. You can use your sword swipe to kind of hit some of the enemies along the way, but for the most part you're just going to kind of avoid a lot of them. Up here, be sure to grab the health replenishment from the container and then continue jumping or whatever you would like to do in order to kind of get over to the far left side. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of chain climbing throughout here. Here's another health replenishment. I don't need it at the moment, but I figured I'd showcase where it was located in case you've taken a few hits at this point. Climb on up all the way to the very top, work your way along it, and then jump to this and slide on down. When you do so, be sure to do a leap kind of at the end, or else you'll end up falling into the pit below. I had a couple of deaths there just because it's hard to kind of time it, but you want to make sure that you're able to leap all the way over and land safely on this platform. While running across, you'll be met with a whole bunch of rocks falling on down, and then you have this weird bee-like contraption vehicle thing that has missiles. Takes up a lot of space, but the boss strategy remains like we've done for a couple of the bosses now, and just keep trying to attack it. Doing your jump attacks and moving forward so that you use the sword swipe over the shurikens, and eventually it should go down. It's a pretty easy boss fight. I find it easier than some of the other ones we've already dealt with. Believe it or not, we're already at the last level of the game, the Masters Lair. Start off by heading along the top portion, do a couple of sword swipes. You're going to do your slide or just maneuver around all the electricity that's here in order to kind of get past all of it. On the next part of it, use your shurikens from a distance to hit this turret before trying to go past. It's much easier to take it out from a distance. Once it's done, drop on down here when you land on the platform, then head on over to the left side. Use the wall to kind of climb up and make it up to the next platform. It's a little bit of a maze in this area, but it's not anything too tricky. You just gotta be careful of openings that you don't accidentally fall straight down and end up falling into pits. Take out another one of these turrets. Thankfully there's a health replenishment right afterwards. Drop on down the opening and then head on over to the left side. Now here, drop on down and then make sure that you land on the elevator before leaping over to the right side. Land here, and then you actually need to go on the wall right below the platform. Then, when you fall off the bottom, hold right on the D-pad to land safely on this platform located here. Grab the health replenishment for sure, and try not to get hit by the electricity right afterwards. This mini-boss can be tricky. Basically, it's like an orb, and you'll rotate around it, and you'll have to attack it while watching out for missiles. Holding the D-pad in different directions will send you out away from the actual sphere itself, allowing you to maneuver a bit, though it's definitely tricky to get the hang of this in order to keep rotating, delivering hits, watching out for those missiles, and being able to survive this fight. This is a pretty tricky mini-boss that I had the most trouble getting better at as I played the game over and over again. Once it's been defeated, head on over to the right, watching out for more electricity. You're probably not going to have a whole lot of health at that point. I'm going to do a couple of leaps as this helps me kind of get through and grab that health replenishment right after that area. Rocks start coming down that we're going to have to dodge as well as we make it to the far right side and another elevator. You may have to wait a few moments for the elevator to come on down, but jump on it and then ride it up to the top. Once you're at the top, head on over to the right and it's time for the final boss encounter of the game. Now I'm going to get this guy just on screen and wait for him to come towards me and start doing the sword attack swipes. He fires out, of course, machine gun-like fire, but our goal is kind of stay a little bit away from him, jump over his head if possible and get behind him, and this will allow us to deliver a few hits before he's able to kind of turn around and be able to then hit us again. Not necessarily a complete solid strat every time, but if you're able to kind of get behind him a few times, you should be able to deliver a few hits with your sword and eventually take him down and sit back and enjoy the brief ending, the Strider 2. So, there you have it. That's Strider 2 for the Sega Master System. Nothing really too special. It is better than Strider 1 on Master System, but that's really all there is to it. But anyway, guys, with that, it's going to wrap up this episode of Play It Through. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up or commenting down below. If you enjoyed this playthrough, be sure to check out the recent one I did for Godzilla Monster of Monsters on the NES. Or for something a little bit different, I recently did a ROM hack of Phineas and Ferb, which is based off of Mickey Mousecapade. I also need to thank all the members of my Patreon. Without your guys' continued support, I wouldn't be able to keep doing what I'm doing, so thank you all so much. If you'd like to help out, just click the little Patreon button. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.